Okay, so we're diving into Michelle Greene's work today.
Okay.
I was going through the articles you shared. Her book, It Wasn't Luck.
Right.
And, it seems like you're looking for kind of like tangible ways to,
Yeah.
to kind of work through this grief you're going through.
Yeah.
And Michelle is a certified life coach. She specializes in helping widows, and she's got this program called the Renewal Method.
Yeah.
Have you looked into that at all?
Yeah, I have. It's
Yeah.
it's really fascinating. What's interesting is that Michelle built this whole program after losing her own husband to COVID-19.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't just like a career move.
Yeah.
It came from a very personal place.
I read about that. Yeah, it's never just theory with her, is it?
No.
She's actually lived this.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. And I'm curious, like, what struck you as we were prepping for this deep dive?
Honestly, the thing that jumped out at me is this wave analogy she uses for grief.
Okay.
I mean, we all know that grief comes and
Ye-
goes, but she breaks it down in a way that seems really helpful for actually dealing with it, you know?
Okay, I'm intrigued. I get the wave analogy, but sometimes those waves feel like freaking tsunamis.
Right?
So how does she help people actually ride those out?
Well, she wouldn't say writing them out, more like learning to swim with them.
Okay.
One technique she talks about is actually leaning into the wave when it hits.
Yeah.
So not fighting it,
Okay.
but acknowledging the feeling fully, like writing it down, even talking to it out loud if that works for you.
That's different. Most advice is all about distraction, right?
Mhm.
Go for a walk, watch a funny movie.
Yeah.
But she's saying face the wave head on.
Exactly. She argues that trying to ignore those big waves just makes them build up and crash harder later.
Right.
So you acknowledge the feeling, you give it space.
Okay.
But then you also have a plan for what to do after the wave recedes a bit.
Okay.
And that's where things like routines and self-care come in.
Yeah, you mentioned routines in your notes as something you were struggling with.
Yeah.
It's hard to get back to normal when everything feels so different, right?
Right. And Michelle gets that.
Yeah.
She doesn't advocate for jumping right back into your old life.
Right.
Instead, she talks about creating a new routine, even if it's just a few small things at first.
Okay.
It could be as simple as making your bed, taking a 10-minute walk, calling one friend each day.
I like that. Those are things, even on my worst days, I can usually manage.
Right.
But what about when the grief feels all-consuming?
Yeah.
Like you said, you have those days where you even feel guilty for having a good moment.
Absolutely. And Michelle talks about that too.
Yeah.
He says it's normal, even part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
And she encourages things like mindfulness and breathing exercises to help regulate those intense emotions.
Okay, hold on. We hear mindfulness everywhere these days, but what
Yeah.
does that actually look like when you're grieving?
Yeah.
I'm picturing myself trying to meditate while sobbing on the couch. Not exactly serene.
Right. It's definitely not about forcing yourself to be calm all the time. She focuses on very practical mindfulness techniques,
Okay.
like paying attention to your senses.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, she suggests keeping a small object that brings back a good memory of your loved one.
Okay.
When you feel overwhelmed, you hold the object and you focus on how it feels in your hand.
Right.
Its temperature, its texture,
Okay.
it helps to ground you in the present moment.
Hmm.
And it provides a tangible connection to your loved one.
That's actually really interesting. It's not about erasing the grief.
Right.
It's about finding an anchor in the midst of it.
Exactly. And I think that's a key takeaway from Michelle's work.
Mhm.
She emphasizes that healing isn't about getting over the loss,
Right.
but rather learning to live with it in a
Mhm.
way that allows you to find joy and meaning again.
I could see how that would be a much more realistic and compassionate approach.
Yeah.
So where does her program, the Renewal Method, fit into all of this?
So the renewal method is where she puts all of these concepts together in a very structured way. And you mentioned feeling isolated, right? This program seems designed for that.
Yeah.
It's all about small groups, so you're not alone.
Okay.
And it focuses on taking concrete steps forward using these strategies we're discussing.
So it's like having a roadmap and a support system all rolled into one.
Yeah.
That's pretty compelling, especially when you're feeling lost and overwhelmed.
It is. And one thing she talks about in the program is creating a grief toolbox.
Hey.
Essentially a collection of personalized coping strategies that you can draw on when those waves hit.
I like that. A toolbox.
Yeah.
Feels more proactive than just waiting for the next emotional tsunami.
Exactly. And Michelle emphasizes that everyone's toolbox will look different.
Right.
What works for one person might not work for another. So it's about finding what resonates with you.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've got the wave analogy, learning to swim through grief,
Mm-hmm.
building that toolbox.
Right.
It's all starting to click together.
Yeah.
But before we move on, there's one thing I'm still grappling with.
Okay.
This idea of finding meaning and purpose after loss.
Yeah.
It sounds good in theory,
Mm-hmm.
but some days just getting through the day feels like a victory.
I hear you, and Michelle addresses that.
Right.
She's not talking about some grand revelation or
No.
instantly finding a new passion. It's a process.
Right.
She talks about starting small,
Okay.
maybe focusing on one thing that brings you a sense of peace or connection to your loved one.
Okay.
It could be as simple as listening to their favorite music,
Right.
cooking their favorite meal,
Yeah.
or volunteering for a cause they cared about.
That's a good point. It's about those small, intentional steps
Yeah.
that honor their memory while also nurturing your own healing.
Exactly. And as you start to incorporate those small acts of meaning into your life, you might find that they gradually lead you towards a larger sense of purpose.
I see. So it's not about forcing it. It's about letting it unfold organically over time.
Exactly.
It's about trusting that even in the midst of grief, there's still a spark of life within you.
Yeah.
And that spark can lead you towards a new path, a new chapter, a new way of being in the world.
A new way of being.
That's actually really encouraging, not in a everything happens for a reason kind of way,
Right.
but more like, okay, I can find my own way through this.
Exactly. And Michelle's work provides a roadmap for doing just that.
So it's not just about surviving the grief, but finding a way to thrive in spite of it.
Yeah.
Now, that's a powerful message.
It is, and it's one that I think can offer a lot of hope to people who are struggling to find their footing after a loss.
I agree. So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
And I'm starting to get a much clearer picture of Michelle's approach. But I'm also curious to dig deeper into some of the specific techniques she recommends.
Okay.
For example, you mentioned journaling earlier.
Yeah.
Does she have any particular journaling prompts or exercises that she suggests for people who are grieving?
That's a great question, and yes, she does. In fact, she has a whole chapter in her book dedicated to journaling for grief.
Perfect. Let's dive into that. What are some of the key takeaways?
One of the things she emphasizes is the importance of writing about gratitude, even amidst the grief.
Okay.
And it might sound counterintuitive,
Yeah.
but she says it's not about ignoring the pain,
Right.
but rather about finding those glimmers of light that can help you through.
Okay, I'm listening. How does that work exactly?
Well, she suggests starting each day by writing down 3 things you're grateful for, no matter how small.
Okay.
It could be as simple as a warm cup of coffee,
Right.
a sunny day,
Mm-hmm.
a phone call from a friend.
Yeah.
The idea is to shift your focus, even for a few moments, away from the pain
Okay.
and towards those small but significant things that bring you a sense of peace or joy.
That's interesting. It's almost like training your mind to notice the good, even when everything feels bad.
Exactly. And she also recommends using journaling to explore your feelings of grief more deeply.
Like instead of bottling them up.
Right. She encourages you to write about the things you miss about your loved one, the memories that bring you comfort, and the challenges you're facing in their absence.
Mm-hmm.
She even suggests writing letters to your loved one as a way to process your emotions
Wow.
and maintain a sense of connection.
That's powerful. I can see how that could be really cathartic. Almost like having a conversation with them,
Yeah,
even though they're not physically present.
right. And it's not about pretending that they're still here,
Right.
but rather about honoring their memory and keeping their spirit alive in your heart.
That's beautiful. Okay, so we've got the gratitude journaling and the emotional processing.
Right.
Any other journaling techniques she recommends?
Yes. She also talks about using journaling to track your progress
Okay.
and celebrate your wins,
Okay.
no matter how small.
So even just getting out of bed on a tough day is worth celebrating.
Absolutely. She encourages you to acknowledge those small victories
Mm-hmm.
because they represent a step forward in your healing journey. And by writing them down, you're creating a tangible record of your resilience and strength,
Right.
which can be incredibly empowering to look back on later.
I can see how that would be helpful, especially on those days when you feel like you're not making any progress.
Right. It's about shifting your perspective
Yeah.
and recognizing that even the smallest steps forward are still steps in the right direction.
This is all really resonating with me. I'm starting to understand how powerful journaling can be as a tool for navigating grief.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also wondering,
Yeah.
does Michelle have any specific advice for people who are struggling with guilt?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's something I've been grappling with a lot lately.
That's a really common experience for people who are grieving. And yes, Michelle has a lot to say about guilt.
Right.
She actually dedicates a whole chapter to it in her book.
Okay, this is exactly what I needed to hear. What does she say?
Well, first and foremost, she emphasizes that guilt is a normal part of the grieving process.
Hmm.
It's often rooted in love
Yep.
and the desire to have done things differently or better.
That makes sense. I think a lot of us tend to replay those last moments, those
Yeah,
last conversations, and wonder if we could have done something differently.
absolutely. And Michelle acknowledges that those thoughts and feelings are natural,
Hmm.
but she also encourages you to challenge them.
How do you challenge guilt? It feels so real and heavy.
She suggests asking yourself some key questions,
Okay.
like, is this thought helpful?
Okay.
Is it based in reality?
Hmm.
And what would my loved one want me to feel?
Okay, those are some tough questions,
Yeah.
but I can see how they would force you to confront the irrationality of guilt.
Exactly. And she also encourages you to practice self-compassion.
There's that word again, self-compassion. It feels kind of abstract.
Mm.
How do you actually do that?
Well, she suggests treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding
Okay.
that you would offer to a close friend who's
Okay.
going through a similar experience.
Mm-hmm.
Would you judge them for their feelings of guilt? Or would you offer them comfort and reassurance?
Of course I would offer them comfort and reassurance,
Right.
but it's so much harder to extend that same grace to myself.
I know, it is, but that's why Michelle emphasizes the importance of making a conscious effort to be kind to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
She suggests repeating affirmations like, I am worthy of love and forgiveness,
Okay.
or I am doing the best I can.
Okay, I can see how those affirmations could be helpful. It's like reprogramming your inner dialogue.
Exactly, and it takes time and practice,
Right.
but it can make a real difference in how you navigate your grief.
This is all so helpful. I feel like I'm finally starting to understand that guilt doesn't have to control me.
That's a great realization, and
Yeah.
it's a testament to your willingness to face those difficult emotions and work through them.
I appreciate that. I feel like I'm learning so much from this deep dive.
Mm.
It's not just about Michelle's specific advice, but also about her overall approach to grief.
I agree. What's really resonating with me is the way she combines practicality with compassion. She offers concrete tools and strategies,
Mm.
but she also emphasizes the importance of self-care and kindness throughout the grieving process.
Yes, it's not just about pushing through the pain,
Right?
but about allowing yourself to feel it, honor it, and learn from it.
Exactly. And that's a really powerful message.
It is, and I think it's a message that can help a lot of people, not just those who are grieving a loss,
Right.
but anyone who is facing difficult challenges in life.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, we all need a little bit of compassion,
Yeah.
a little bit of grace, and a little bit of hope
Yeah.
to help us navigate the ups and downs of life.
So true. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here,
We have.
but I'm still eager to hear more about Michelle's program, the Renewal Method.
Okay.
You mentioned that it's designed for small groups. What else can you tell me about it?
Well, one of the key features is that it's a structured program
Yep.
with specific modules
Okay.
that address different aspects of grief.
Mm.
It's not just about talking about your feelings, but about taking concrete steps forward in your healing journey.
So it's like a roadmap for navigating grief.
Exactly. And Michelle guides the group through each module,
Yeah.
providing support, encouragement, and practical advice along the way.
That sounds incredibly helpful. I know I've felt lost and directionless at times.
Yeah.
So having that structure and guidance would be invaluable.
It really would be. And another important aspect is the community aspect.
Yeah.
Michelle creates a safe and supportive space for women to share their experiences,
Mhm.
connect with others who understand,
Right.
and realize that they're not alone in their grief.
That's so important. I think one of the hardest things about grief is the feeling of isolation.
Yes,
Like you're the only one going through it.
absolutely. And that's why having a community of support can be so transformative. It
Yeah.
reminds you that you're not alone,
Right.
that others have walked a similar path,
Hmm.
and that there is hope for healing and growth.
I love that it's like a beacon of light in the darkness.
Exactly. And Michelle is that beacon of light, guiding the group through the darkness and towards a place of healing and hope.
So the renewal method is a combination of structure, support, and expert guidance.
Right. It's a comprehensive approach to grief
Mm-hmm.
that addresses both the emotional and practical aspects of healing.
And what about Michelle's book, It Wasn't Luck?
Yes.
You mentioned it earlier. How does it fit into all of this?
So her book is a fantastic resource for anyone who is grieving,
Okay.
whether or not they participate in the renewal method.
Right.
It's a beautiful blend of memoir, self-help, and inspiration.
So it's not just a theoretical guide to grief, but a personal story of healing and transformation.
Exactly. Michelle shares her own journey with grief in a raw and honest way.
Hmm.
And it's incredibly relatable and inspiring.
I can see how that would make the book especially powerful. Knowing that the author has walked through the fire themselves gives their words a different weight.
Absolutely. And she also provides practical advice and tools
Okay.
that readers can use in their own healing journeys.
So it's a combination of personal story, practical advice, and ultimately a message of hope and resilience.
Exactly. It's a really beautiful and powerful read.
Okay, so we've got Michelle's program and her book, both offering different but complementary approaches to navigating grief.
Right.
But I'm curious, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, is there anything else that stands out to you about Michelle's work? Anything that we haven't touched on yet?
You know, one thing that really strikes me is the emphasis on self-care
Okay.
throughout the grieving process. You know, it's not just about pushing through the pain,
Right.
but about giving yourself permission to rest,
Okay.
to nourish yourself, to engage in activities that bring you joy.
It's about recognizing that healing takes time and energy.
Yeah.
And that you need to replenish those reserves
Yeah.
to move forward.
Exactly. And I think that's a message that we often forget,
Yeah.
especially in our fast-paced, achievement-oriented society.
Right.
You know, it's easy to get caught up in the idea that we need to be productive
Right.
or over it by a certain point, but grief doesn't work that way.
It doesn't. And that's why Michelle's emphasis on self-care is so refreshing.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that it's okay to be gentle with yourself, to prioritize your well-being,
Yeah.
and to allow yourself the time and space to heal.
It's about honoring your own needs and giving yourself permission to grieve in a way that feels authentic and supportive.
Precisely. And that's a message that I think we can all benefit from, whether we're grieving a loss or simply navigating the challenges of life.
It's a reminder that self-compassion is not a luxury, it's a necessity.
Absolutely. And it's something we can all cultivate starting today.
Now, I'm curious,
Yeah.
as you've been exploring Michelle's work,
Hmm.
what's been the most surprising or unexpected insight that you've gained?
Honestly, what surprised me the most was the emphasis on finding purpose and meaning in the aftermath of loss.
Oh,
I think there's often this assumption that grief is solely about pain and sadness, but Michelle really challenges that notion. She suggests that there can be a silver lining, a sense of growth and transformation that emerges from the darkness.
Yes, and it's not about minimizing or dismissing the pain,
Right.
but rather recognizing that grief can be a catalyst for profound personal change.
It's about finding a way to honor the person you've lost
Yeah.
by living a life that reflects their values and the lessons you've learned through your shared journey.
Beautifully put. And I think that's a message that can offer a lot of hope and inspiration to those who are struggling with loss.
It's a reminder that even in the face of tragedy, there's always the possibility of finding meaning and purpose.
And that's a powerful message to carry with us, no matter what life throws our way.
Absolutely. Well, I feel like we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
Yeah.
We've explored Michelle's background, her unique approach to grief, and some of the key strategies she recommends, like journaling and self-compassion.
Yeah.
I'm already feeling more hopeful and empowered, and I can't wait to dig even deeper in the next part.
Me too. We've just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
And there's so much more to uncover.
Stay tuned, everyone, because we'll be right back with part 2 of our deep dive into the work of Michelle Greene.
See you soon. So welcome back.
So before the break, we were talking about Michelle's emphasis on self-care, and it really got me thinking. It's one thing to say, be kind to yourselves, but how does that actually play out when you're dealing with the rawness of grief?
Yeah.
It feels almost impossible some days.
You're absolutely right. It's not about magically feeling better. Michelle talks about self-care as a deliberate practice, almost like building a muscle.
Okay.
You know, it's about making conscious choices that nourish your mind, body, and spirit,
Good.
even when you don't feel like it.
Okay, so it's not about bubble baths and spa days.
Maybe sometimes,
Although, honestly, those sound pretty good right now.
but it's more about those small, consistent actions
Okay.
that help you replenish your energy and cope with the emotional drain of grief.
Right.
Things like getting enough sleep, eating nutritious foods,
Okay.
moving your body gently,
Right.
and connecting with supportive people.
That makes more sense. It's about building a foundation, right?
Yeah.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. Michelle even suggests creating a self-care menu,
Okay.
a list of activities that bring you comfort and joy no matter how small. It could be things like listening to your favorite music, reading a good book,
Okay.
spending time in nature,
Yeah.
or simply taking a few minutes to sit in silence and breathe.
I love that.
Yeah.
The self-care menu.
Yeah.
I'm totally stealing that idea.
Yeah.
It takes the pressure off of trying to figure out what will help in the moment.
Exactly. You can just pull out your menu
Right.
and choose something that feels nourishing in that moment.
Okay, this is all starting to make sense.
Good.
We've got the tools for riding those waves,
Yeah.
the self-care to replenish our energy.
Yeah.
And then there's that bigger idea we touched on before, finding meaning and purpose after loss.
Right.
I have to admit, it's something I'm still struggling to wrap my head around.
I understand it's a big concept,
Yeah.
and it doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
But Michelle believes that even in the midst of grief, there's a seed of possibility waiting to be nurtured.
So how do we even begin to nurture that seed? It feels like everything is scorched earth right now.
Well, she talks about this idea of post-traumatic growth,
Okay.
which essentially means that challenging experiences like grief can actually lead to positive changes in our lives.
Okay, that's a new one.
Yeah.
Post-traumatic growth, explain that like I'm 5.
Imagine a plant that's been through a really bad storm.
Okay.
It might look broken and damaged, but if you give it the right care and attention, it can actually grow back stronger and more resilient.
So we're not talking about everything happens for a reason,
Right.
but more like, what can I learn from this experience?
Exactly. It's about acknowledging the pain and loss, but also recognizing that you have the power to choose how you move forward.
So it's about finding that agency,
Yeah.
that control in a situation that often feels completely out of control.
Exactly. And it's not about forgetting the person you've lost,
Right.
but rather about honoring their memory by living a life that reflects the values and lessons they taught you.
I see. It's like taking those pieces of their spirit
Yeah.
and weaving them into the tapestry of your own life.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be some grand, sweeping change.
Right.
It could be as simple as being more present with your loved ones,
Okay.
pursuing a passion that you put on hold,
Yeah.
or simply committing to living a life that is more authentic and meaningful.
So it's about those small intentional steps that ripple outwards, creating a positive impact on your life and the lives of others.
Exactly. And it's a process that takes time and patience.
Right.
It's not about rushing to find a new purpose, but about allowing it to emerge organically as you heal and grow.
Okay. I'm starting to get it. It's not about replacing the person you've lost,
Right.
but about finding a way to integrate their memory into your life in a
Yeah.
way that honors both them and you.
Beautifully said. And I think that's a powerful message for anyone who is navigating grief.
It is.
Yeah.
But I have to be honest, some days, even those small steps feel overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like the grief just weighs me down so much that I can barely function.
I hear you. And Michelle acknowledges that those days are going to happen.
Right.
She doesn't sugarcoat the reality of grief.
So what does she suggest for those days when it feels like you're drowning in sadness?
She talks about the importance of giving yourself permission to grieve, not trying to push it away or pretend you're okay,
Okay.
but actually allowing yourself to feel the pain fully.
But isn't that just wallowing? Like, won't it make me feel worse?
Not necessarily. Michelle believes that trying to suppress your emotions actually prolongs the grieving process. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. Eventually, it's going to pop back up.
So what's the alternative?
Right.
Just let the grief wash over me.
In a way, yes, it's about acknowledging the feelings, naming them, and allowing yourself to experience them without judgment.
Okay.
She even suggests creating a grief space,
Okay.
a designated area in your home where you can go to cry, scream, journal,
Right.
or simply be with your sadness.
That's an interesting concept, like
Yeah.
giving the grief a physical space so it doesn't take over your whole life.
Exactly. It's about creating boundaries
Okay.
and recognizing that it's okay to not be okay.
But how do you know when you're giving yourself permission to grieve versus getting stuck in the sadness?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And Michelle emphasizes the importance of balance.
Okay.
It's about finding that sweet spot between honoring your grief and taking care of yourself.
Right.
You know, it's about allowing yourself to feel the pain, but also recognizing when you need to step away and do something nurturing for yourself.
Okay, so it's like riding those waves. You acknowledge them, you feel them,
Right.
but then you also come up for air.
Exactly. And as you continue to ride those waves, you'll notice that they gradually become less intense and less frequent.
So it's not about erasing the grief completely,
Right.
but about learning to manage it in a way that allows you to live a full and meaningful life.
Beautifully put. And that's what Michelle's work is all about, helping people find their way back to life, even in the face of profound loss.
I'm really starting to grasp the depth of her approach.
Good.
It's not about quick fixes or platitudes,
Right.
but about providing people with the tools and support they need to navigate the complex and often messy reality of grief.
Absolutely. And I think what's so inspiring about Michelle's work is that it's rooted in her own personal experience. You know,
Right.
she's not just talking the talk.
Yeah.
She's walked the walk.
And that authenticity shines through in everything she does.
It does, and it makes her message all the more powerful.
You mentioned earlier that Michelle's program, the Renewal Method, is a structured program with specific modules.
Yes.
Can you tell me more about those modules? What are some of the key topics that she covers?
Well, each module is designed to address a different aspect of grief and healing.
Go ahead.
So, for example, one module focuses on understanding the different stages of grief and how to navigate them.
Right.
Another module explores the role of self-care in the healing process
Okay.
and provides practical tips for incorporating self-care into your daily routine.
So it's like a step-by-step guide to navigating the emotional and practical challenges of grief.
Exactly. And Michelle provides specific exercises and techniques
Yep.
that participants can use to process their emotions, manage their stress, and build resilience.
And what about the community aspect?
Yeah.
You mentioned that it's a small group program. How does that work?
Typically, the groups consist of 6 to 8 women who are all going through a similar experience.
Okay.
And they meet virtually, usually via Zoom, for several weeks.
So even though it's online, there's still that sense of connection and shared experience.
Absolutely. And Michelle creates a safe and supportive space for the women to share their stories,
Hmm.
offer each other encouragement, and build a sense of community.
Yeah.
She often says that one of the most powerful aspects of the program is the realization that you're not alone in your grief.
I can only imagine how transformative that must be.
Yeah,
It's like a lifeline in the storm.
exactly. And Michelle is that lifeline,
Right.
guiding the group through the storm and towards a place of healing and hope.
Okay, I'm really intrigued by this program. It sounds like a truly unique and valuable resource for women who are grieving.
It is, and I think what's so remarkable about Michelle's approach is that it's not just about coping with grief, but about using it as a catalyst for growth and transformation.
Right.
You know, she believes that even in the midst of profound loss,
Yeah.
there's an opportunity to discover new strengths, new passions, and a new sense of purpose.
That's a powerful message.
Yeah.
And it's one that I think we all need to hear, especially in times of darkness and despair.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that even when things feel impossible, there's always a reason to keep going,
Yeah.
a reason to keep believing, and a reason to keep loving.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this second part of our deep dive.
We have.
We've explored Michelle's personal journey with grief,
Yeah.
the key principles of her approach, and the transformative power of her program, the Renewal Method. I'm feeling incredibly grateful for her work and the hope that it offers to those who are grieving.
Me too. Michelle's work is a gift to the world.
It is, and I can't wait to hear what else she has to share in the final part of our deep dive.
Stay tuned, everyone, because we'll be right back with more insights from Michelle Greene.
So welcome back to our deep dive into the work of Michelle Greene.
Yeah, I'm so glad we're getting to spend this time really unpacking her approach.
Me too.
Yeah.
Before the break, we were talking about Michelle's own journey through grief
Yeah.
and how it led her to this incredible work. You know, it's one thing to have the knowledge, but there's something about lived experience that just hits differently.
Absolutely. There's a level of empathy and understanding that comes from having walked through the fire yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that makes Michelle's work so powerful.
Yeah, it's like she's not just offering advice. She's offering a hand to hold as you navigate those dark waters. Which brings me to something you mentioned earlier that I want to explore further.
Okay.
This idea of post-traumatic growth.
Yeah.
It sounds almost counterintuitive, like finding flowers blooming in a wasteland. Can you talk more about what Michelle says about that?
It's not about dismissing the devastation, that's for sure.
Right.
But Michelle has seen, both in herself and the women she works with, that even profound loss can become a catalyst for profound change. Not change because of the loss, but change that maybe wouldn't have happened otherwise.
Okay, so not everything happens for a reason.
Right.
But more like, what can I make of this now? Is that the idea?
Exactly. One of the things she talks about is that grief often forces us to reevaluate our priorities. Things that seemed important before suddenly lose their luster, and new things come into focus.
Like when you said you were reevaluating your career goals.
Yeah, it's not that my old goals were wrong, but after losing, Pauses. Well, it just shifted my perspective. What Michelle points out is that this can be an opportunity to align your life more authentically with what truly matters to you. It's not about replacing what you've lost, but finding a new path forward that incorporates the lessons you've learned.
That's so powerful.
Yeah.
But honestly, some days it feels like all I've learned is how much it hurts to lose someone you love.
Hmm.
How do you get from that kind of pain to something like growth?
Well, Michelle wouldn't say it's a linear process. There's no timeline for this, but she offers some really tangible tools to help people move through the grief rather than getting stuck in it.
Hmm.
One of the things she talks about is the importance of meaning making.
Okay, break that down for me. What does meaning making look like in practice?
It's about finding ways to honor your loved one's memory while also moving forward in your own life. For some people, it might be creating a memorial scholarship in their name or volunteering for a cause they were passionate about. For others, it might be as simple as continuing a tradition they loved or sharing their stories with others.
You're a musician, right? So for you, it might be composing a piece of music in their honor.
Exactly. It's about finding a way to channel your grief into something creative, something that brings beauty and meaning into the world. And it doesn't have to be big or public.
Right.
Michelle says it's the personal meaning that matters most.
This is making me think about all the people listening who might be stuck in that feeling of, what's the point anymore? It can feel so hopeless. Does Michelle address that directly?
She does, and she's very honest about the fact that there will be days, weeks, maybe even months when you feel like giving up. But she also emphasizes that those feelings are temporary, even if they feel permanent in the moment.
So what does she suggest for those really dark days?
One of the things she talks about is the importance of radical acceptance.
Okay, another one for the explain like I'm five file.
Think of it like this. When you're fighting against the waves, you're just getting battered around. But when you surrender to the current, you can start to find a way to float. Radical acceptance is about acknowledging the reality of your loss and the pain it's causing without trying to resist it or push it away.
I can see how that would be a shift in mindset, but wouldn't that just make you more sad? Isn't the goal to feel less sad eventually?
It's not about staying sad, it's about making space for the sadness. Michelle's theory is that when you stop fighting the grief, it can actually start to move through you more quickly.
Okay.
It's like clearing a logjam in a river.
Right.
Once you stop resisting, the water can flow again.
Okay, I'm starting to understand. But even if you accept the grief, there's still this huge hole left behind, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with that?
That's where the idea of rebuilding comes in. Michelle talks about it like rebuilding a house after a fire. You've lost something precious, but you can still use the foundation to create something new and beautiful.
So not replacing, but rebuilding. That feels different.
It is. It's about honoring the past while also embracing the future. It's about taking all the love, the lessons, the memories you shared with your loved one and using them as building blocks for the next chapter of your life.
It's like that saying, grief is just love with nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Maybe this rebuilding is about finding new places for that love to flow.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be some grand, sweeping change. Michelle emphasizes that it's the small, everyday choices that make the biggest difference.
Right.
Things like connecting with loved ones, pursuing a passion, or simply being kind to yourself.
So the rebuilding process is actually happening all the time, even when we don't realize it.
Exactly. And I think that's a really hopeful message. It's a reminder that even in the midst of grief, life goes on, and we have the power to choose how we want to participate in it.
I love that. It's not about erasing the pain or pretending it didn't happen, but about finding a way to integrate it into our lives in a way that allows us to move forward with strength and resilience.
Beautifully said. And I think that's a perfect note to end on.
It is. I feel like we've been on quite a journey with Michelle Greene today. We've explored the depths of grief, the power of resilience, and the possibility of finding meaning and purpose even in the face of profound loss.
And I hope our listeners feel empowered to explore Michelle's work further,
Yeah,
whether through her book, her program, or simply by embracing her message of hope and healing.
absolutely. If you're looking for more information on Michelle Greene, you can find everything you need at www.michelleagreespecialist.com.
That's right.
And remember, you're not alone on this journey. There's support available, and there's always hope. Take care of yourselves, everyone, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.